Hey, you guys. So, as promised, I'm going to do my Jurassic World Chaos Theory spoilers kind of talk run through. What I thought on some things. I've got my little list here telling me I need to click done so that my list won't go away. Um, Talking about some of the things that I took the most from. If there are other things that you want me to talk about that maybe I didn't write on my list, feel free to comment those. I will tell you what I think on them or how I felt in that moment. Um, but yeah, essentially, this will be spoilers. Since yesterday, it was just kind of like, hey, watch the show. So I'm gonna start first and foremost. The first thing on my list is Brooklyn. And what I mean by that is because I have dash order. That's essentially like the order of events. I was very not surprised, but we really just went into like, hey, Brooklyn's gone. And it's essentially hinted at in that first episode, you see where Darius sees the Allosaurus. He's like, "Oh my god," triggers a flashback for him. And we're like, "What happened there?" And you see a man and you're like, "Who's this man?" We don't know. And then also too, he's calling Brooklyn, so we think, oh, maybe Brooklyn's fine and just left a voicemail because she wasn't by the phone. We don't know. That's the whole point. And then we just learned later in the episode through Ben, oh, what do you mean Brooklyn's not there? I thought maybe by chance we would get like a episode current time where it's like, hey, here's Brooklyn. Ben. Then we get, oh, something occurred. I don't know. That's just kind of where my mind went, maybe. Um, but I didn't mind getting the flashbacks because with the flashbacks and where it ties into like the Dark Jurassic stuff and Daniel Kahn and everything else under the sun, I think personally, and as I was watching the show, I was like, I think she faked her death. And look at her by the end. Again, if you haven't seen it, I just spoiled it for you. So I'm not sorry. It was warned in the beginning, but I knew it. I was like, she can't die. Not saying that they're immortal. It's just you can't. It's Brooklyn. And two, as we learn, she's into investigative journalism. I feel, again, if you want to look at it from a true crime aspect mixed with fiction, if you are really going into a story, like you are really trying to like dig up as much as you can, especially too since she's been introduced to the Dark Jurassic stuff, you're gonna fake your death. Just saying, like if you really like want to get somewhere, you're going to fake your death. That's all I have to say. Now, then there's Sammy. As we kind of continue on, here was my thing with Sammy, and it's nothing bad. My first thought was because as she's talking, like Darius and Ben come, and she's like all over the place. I started to question. I'm like, where are her parents? Where did they go? Because I I have not run a ranch, so I cannot tell you, hey, it's easy, hey, it's hard. But I do know from people who have like run farms, very similar in some aspects, you need help. And her being the only one there, I just started to wonder like where did her parents go? I don't know if that was ever mentioned where they went or like what the falling out was because she said like she does not speak, like her and her parents do not talk much. I don't know if I missed why. I need a why. Like, was it because of the dinosaurs? Was it because of like relationships? What was the issue? Why? Um, just so that's just for me. That was just a question on my end, and it still just bothered me because she's there by herself running this ranch, which, do it. You can be a strong, independent woman, but I also can about imagine that that is time consuming and that would take up a lot of your time. With her being on the ranch, then she has Bumpy. They talk about like how they got Bumpy, why she's there. I loved the reunion. I really did. It was like a father being reunited with their child. It made my heart happy. But then we meet Carl. There were, hate's a strong word, but people that I did not want there. One of which was Carl. Hated him. Sounded like he swallowed thumbtacks. And just, I hated his voice. And he also complained a lot. I didn't like that. The other person I hated was the Dino King. I hated both of them because here's the thing. Say what you want about like I wouldn't want dinosaurs around. Look, I get it. Okay. We are not ready for that. Okay? Like that's something where it's like you are not prepped. Like we're used to regular predators like bears and coyotes or, like lions, that sort of thing. I get it. And now you're adding dinosaurs to the mix where it's like, I don't know how to help me. Like, how do I defend myself against a dinosaur? You know, they can just survive a little bit better, And so I get where it's like you're now in a new environment, but here's the thing. Learn. You can educate and you can see because Carl calls Bumpy a carnivore. If you knew your dinosaurs, not a carnivore, I'm sorry, I cannot speak. So I was like, okay, really, she won't do anything to you, one. Two, you just come trouncing on in. Like, what do you think is going to happen? She's very protective of her people, as most people are, just in general, same as any pet. I don't know what you were expecting. The Dino King situation, that looked run down. It was not a good business. I hated how he treated the dinosaurs. My heart hurt. And then I was really happy when Sammy and Ben freed them. So I loved that. Leading into the dinosaur thing, how they're being trapped by, I forget the name that they actually did for the hybrid situation, but the Allosaurus and the Raptor combos. That's what I'm calling them right now. The babies, that's what I'll call them. Because let's face it, again, I get it. Like having dinosaurs, real world, is it practical to have dinosaurs as pets? Again, no one imagines that. No one sees that happening. But you cannot tell me. Like, I envied her. I call her Raptor Mom because I don't know. I don't know her name. Her face kind of freaks me out. I'll talk about that a little later. But I envied her because would I use the dinosaurs in that way? No. But I loved, like, they would come up to her and they would be like, Mom, like, kind of the compassion. She'd pet them. I was like, that's lovely. Love this relationship. Mind you, they're trained and like the whistle helps, but I thought at times it was very heartwarming. And in the last episode where we see, dinosaurs are fighting dinosaurs, like we got the T-Rex, the Allosaurus, Raptor, Allosaurus combos fighting, and then you got the kids fighting, the Raptor Allosaurus the babies. She's like summoning them. They're tired. I was like, girl, just let it be. Let your babies rest. Let them rest. Like, I felt bad for them because they were trying to please their mother. And she could see, like, oh, my babies are exhausted. I cannot tell you. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know. She gives them a look. So like she summons her children away. She gives she gives the group a look. Now, I think anyone who has pets and like treats them as children and or has children, you can relate to that look. The look of hurt my children again, I will kill you. I loved that because to me it just reaffirmed like she loves her children. Does she work them a little bit too hard? Yes. I would have just known, hey, my children are not being summoned by the call quick enough. There's an issue here. Like they give them rest. Like we'll finish this another time. We'll complete the job later. But her look. Here's the thing. It wasn't really the hair. That's a personal thing. Would I have chosen that cut? No. If that's what she felt like, hey, this speaks to me, that's a you thing. It was the eyes. The eyes for me, like her face, in regards to just like my eyes are open and like just round and I pierce into your soul. She didn't scare me. Like that I don't know how to describe it. It's just it felt robotic. And I don't know how else to like kind of describe that, okay? Leading into another topic, the love triangle. What I mean by that is you have Kenji, you have Brooklyn, and you have Darius. Now, here is what I say on that, okay? When Camp Cretaceous happened, you could always tell, at least for me, Brooklyn and Darius had a relationship. How you want to define that is up to you. I thought of it more as like maybe it's a sibling thing, like we're great friends. And then later in life, it could lead to something, potentially. But I'm not one to be like, yes, I ship, this. That's not really why I watched the show. And I'm not really like for that. But if later in life you see that, go for it. And so here, when it was finally addressed, like for Darius, yeah, I was in love with Brooklyn. I felt like I knew it, like in a way, as the series was kind of going on. The fact that he was leaving so many voicemails, the fact that he was like calling so much, which, I tried to think of it as a couple of different things. Like, I get because, if you have guilt, if you are grieving, I try to think of it as, hey, if my best friend, my sisters, because that's what I call them, my sisters, my brothers, whatever it may be, if they were to pass on and I had such a strong connection with them, of course I would miss them. Like, I do not doubt that 100%. Would I call constantly to hear the voice? Probably not. I have like other things, like whether it's photos or like other messages that we've had that I can like, hey, remember this and kind of reminisce on that. But if in Darius's case, if you kind of put that there, and then if he does have guilt, I could see where it's like, hey, I'm calling this much because you're kind of in denial about it. But I also was like, the fact that he's like he knows, it's one thing to then describe, like, to Kenji when they're talking about it, like, hey, I called a lot because I missed Brooklyn. I'm sure he would understand that. But the fact that he was sitting there, like, hogging the phone, he knows the passcode, he, like, knew all these things. And then when they meet up again, before getting the phone, all that stuff, like, him and Kenji talking, and he's like, yeah, Brooklyn stayed at my place. And then just like different things being mentioned. I was like, yeah, there's more. There's more here. What that is, that's up to you. But also, I do have to commend, like, I think Kenji handled it very well. He could have been pissed. Like, I get it. And he even said, like, so my best friend was in love with my ex girlfriend. I mean, but I thought, given like everything that has happened and how he felt like seeing Darius again, which, mind you, he even says it later, and I'll say it in a bit. The fact that Kenji just ignores Darius, like, Darius who? Oh, there was somebody there. I didn't see a thing. Like, he just ignores him like he does not exist. And anytime he had to look at Darius, anytime, like, anything was in reference to Darius, having to look at him, anything, scowl. He quoted at one point when they were even talking about Kenji's dad. He was like, once you break my trust, you've lost me forever. Like, was that the exact quote? It was something like that. And he just looks at Darius and is just pissed. And I was like, I don't blame you, especially like Brooklyn was like your friend. Take the girlfriend part out of it. She was connected to all of you in some way, shape, or form. If you knew Darius was supposed to be there and then he's just like, oh, I was late, like, I didn't show up on time, yeah, I could see then where you're like, I blame you. Like, I get it. I don't blame Darius to a degree because, like, if you have the guilt, like, he didn't keep in contact with anybody. But, like, if you have the guilt, if you have, like, you're still grieving, like, I get some of that. But also, he just was, like, out of everyone's life, which is kind of upsetting given that probably that's what you needed the most. And then we just see, like, how Kenji and Brooklyn broke up, again, with her being just, like, on the phone. I get where, and two, I don't know how often they were seeing each other, but I felt like, hey, this is, every once in a while you get to, like, meet up, have a good, like, do something, an activity or something. Like, you need to be present. I get you're probably on, like, a mission and you want to, like, hey, save the dinosaurs. Like, I get that mission. I understand. But if you're in the moment, you really need to be you need to be present. And so that's where Kenji was just like, hey, I'm over this. Like, you're not present. You're not being with me for a moment. So bye. And then that's where Darius is like, yeah, she stayed with me. And Kenji did not know about that, which made him more pissed. So I saw some of those things coming in regards to just like the revelation that Darius is like, hey, I'm in love with Brooklyn, all this sort of stuff, which even then by the end of it, Darius is like, yeah, she said she wasn't in love with me. That's why he was kind of late, because he was embarrassed. Get that. But I kind of wasn't surprised. Still speaking on Kenji's dad. Now, as we know, R.I.P. Daniel Kahn. I will have to say, there was a moment where I was like, okay, he's just, in order to get his way, hey, and to exchange information with you. I will tell you what I know, but in exchange, I need you on my side. It was kind of upsetting because, again, if you've watched anything similar in regards to that dynamic, you know it's going to be an exchange. I was happy in regard, like Kenji said, no, I don't want that, walks away. Daniel kind of has like a revelation and is like, okay, I'll tell you what I know, just please don't go. It was sad. It was upsetting for me because I'm like, okay, he really just wants to see his son. And then the raptor mom comes. And, you know, you kind of have to feel, you have to feel for Kenji because did he have the greatest relationship with his father? No. But his father sacrificed himself to make sure, like, hey, Kenji, run, like, go. And that's where I was kind of upset. And, like, I feel for, not that I didn't already, but that relationship could have potentially been mended, and now it won't ever be. And now Kenji has nobody. He just has Darius's family, which is nice. Like, he has somebody he could speak to, but it's, it's not his. The one thing I will say about the series and in regards to what I wanted, I wish there was more Henry Wu. We did get one mention of it, and that was, I think it was in episode 2 when she was talking about some of the, Brooklyn and Ben were talking about some of the theories on Dark Jurassic, and one of the theories was, like, the kids all died on the island, these people were all clones, and, like, Henry Wu, like, cloned them. I loved that. Look, you're probably here. Quick story. It has nothing to do with the rest of the season. I enjoy Henry Wu for multiple reasons. I love BD Wong. One. Two, Jurassic Park and like BD Wong's role in it is kind of what made me interested in, I wouldn't say cloning, but in college I did a speech on cloning, because I think there are some benefits to it. But also, too, I became then very interested in genetic engineering. Again, for a multitude of reasons. And I thought maybe I would go to school for that. I did not, because the program at my school did not have anything of that sort. And I did not know what school would. So that's probably a failed attempt on my part. But, just became really interested in that. I thought he was super smart. I just love Henry Wu. And two, the fact that he's in, like, after that, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion. I love to see it. I gotta see more Henry Wu. And that's just me. But as jokes, it's a joke. What I would have liked to have seen Henry Wu or more calls to, other Jurassic properties if we had like a cameo or something. But I was satisfied with the season. And like I said in my video yesterday, every time as we got towards the end of the last episode, I was like, so season 2? Because since they're going now on the ship and they're going wherever to take down, I'm assuming Biosyn. I don't know who else. Who else the broker could be. I mean, there could probably be many people, honestly, in order to keep it going. But that was just some of my thoughts. Some of the things, like, for me, I took away from it that I had the biggest reaction to or, like, the biggest thoughts on. Again, if you have thoughts on anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. Oh, they also did mention the locusts. That was also mentioned because that was a theory or like something that Ben had on his board. So that was another call within Jurassic World. So those are my thoughts. That's how I felt about about some of the events in the season. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.